Welcome to the RGVSports Show. We are here just one day away from Week 3 football action, getting a little closer to district play. For some teams already in district play, but we are happy to be here with you, breaking everything down. We're going to run through our top 10, the RGV Sports Show poll done by our writers along with the Valley Morning Star and the Brownsville Herald. And we're going to break down the game of the week and some other big matchups here in Week 3 to look forward to. Really exciting football going on this weekend. Some really good matchups, some rivalry games, some blockbuster matchups, and I'm really pumped to see these teams get after it Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. This should be a week that brings a lot of fireworks. Had a lot of contenders for a game of the week this week. It's a shame that they're all going to happen at the same time because I'd love to watch lots of them this weekend.
Absolutely. And as usual, my name is Brian Ramos. I'm your 5A beat writer.
I'm Andrew McCullough. I'm your District 36A beat writer.
And Raul Garcia, 316A.
And we're going to go ahead and start off this show by breaking down the RGV Sports Show, the RGVSports.com top 10 poll that came out on Monday, September 9th. And we're going to go ahead and do a quick rundown, talk about the new teams who have made their way in and the teams there at the top who are firmly entrenched there. And so Edinburgh Vela, McAllen Memorial, San Benito, Mission High, numbers 1 through 4 last week, numbers 1 through 4 this week. They all came away with a win last week, so as usual, they hold on to those top 4 spots. But the new movers moving into that top 10, PSJ North up 3 spots from number 9 to number 6, and McAllen Rowe breaking their way in after a big win over Mercedes in last week's game of the week. You guys were there to catch some of that Rowe and Mercedes game. What do you think of McAllen Rowe's performance that got them into this top 10?
Rowe is certainly the comeback kid so far. They've got 2 big come-from-behind victories already this year, and senior quarterback Jonas Ortiz really looked like he demonstrated a lot of poise under pressure there in the second half. He had a lot of big scrambles and some big throws to some linebackers of all things at receiver spots. So his leadership, I feel like, really got them over the hump in this one, and some key defensive performances late in the game, forced a lot of fumbles. Good to see that all-around team effort from Rowe buckling down in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely, and another team making their way into the top 10, Brownsville Veterans, who in Week 1 picked up a big win over Brownsville Rivera, a 6A program. Then in Week 2, they opened district play in 16 5A Division 1 against Brownsville Lopez, and they come away with a 49-7 win. So now they're at 2-0. They make their way into the top 10 here at number 9. Good to see the Chargers getting a little momentum as that district play starts in District 16 5A D1. And then, of course, back to those teams at the top, Edinburgh Vela, McAllen Memorial, numbers 1 and 2, who actually meet this week in the Monitors Game of the Week, brought to you by the J. Gonzalez Law Firm. We will be there. We got previews breaking everything down, breaking down the matchups, players to watch for, and we're going to be there Friday night with coverage, the game tracker, everything you asked for. We got you covered for this game for a blockbuster matchup. Andrew McCullough, you're going to be there. You've talked to these coaches. Raul, you've talked to Coach Campbell and Edinburgh Vela and those kids. What are you guys expecting from this blockbuster matchup here in Week 3?
Well, I mean, number 1 versus number 2 doesn't really get any bigger or better than that. And, I mean, what else could you really ask for with a matchup like this? Really a clash of the Titans. And I'm excited to see how this one shakes out because these 2 teams are stockpiled with a few of the biggest playmakers in the Valley. And, I mean, you got to feel like whoever comes out on top in this one is for sure going to be holding down the number 1 spot and be the leader in the clubhouse going into district play as the top team here in the Valley.
Bragging rights on the line, Raul.
Bragging rights on the line.
Talk to us about Edinburgh Vela, and they come away with 2 close wins there in Weeks 1 and Week 2. How are they feeling here moving into Week 3 against McAllen Memorial?
Yeah, well, they're definitely the team to beat. They got a target on their back, and McAllen Memorial is really, I think, going to come and give them a big challenge. And, this is a game that has been 2 years in the planning, and it's finally coming. And it's coming our way, and it's coming fast. And I think it's either going to boil down to a running game with Spates or A.J. Sotelo passing game through the air. We're going to find out. It's going to be something like like Andrew's talking about, Clash of the Titans.
An aerial attack coming from the Sabercats of Edinburgh Vela, a vicious ground game propelling the McAllen Memorial Mustangs into this one. And both of those quarterbacks had really good weeks last week. AJ Sotelo, quarterback, had a big week last week. Campbell Spates, big week last week against Sherryland High, leading them to a 51-10 win over Sherryland.
That's true, and you mentioned quarterbacks there. You got to mention Joseph Lara over at Memorial too. Doesn't put the ball up in the air a whole lot, but when he does, he really takes the top off of defenses. I mean, if you stack the box against that Memorial defense, they're going to go over the top and beat you bad through the air. But, I mean, you're right when you say this offense runs through Campbell Spates, literally and figuratively. He had over 200 yards on the ground again last week, 4 touchdowns. Puts him at 502 yards for the season and 8 scores in 2 weeks.
Big time.
I mean, it's tough to keep this kid off the board, and most impressive yet, 5 of those touchdown runs are from the opposite side of the field, 50 yards or more. So, I mean, you really got to keep your tabs on him, especially late in the game. He's a guy that wears defenses down, and, most of those big runs come in the fourth quarter or in the latter part of the second half. You really got to be careful because he can break one at any moment. And you kind of look on the other side, Sotelo, maybe one of the best, if not the best, throwers in the area. A lot of experience there for him, especially with some deep playoff runs under his belt. This big stage isn't going to spook him at all. But you got to wonder how that offensive line is going to shake out for Vela with 2 big injuries at each of the tackle spots. Memorial prides itself on its pass rush at the defensive end spots, and could cause problems for the Sabercats this week.
And Raul, Andrew touched on it. Edinburgh Vela down 2 key pieces there on that offensive line. You spoke to Coach Campbell about this. What can you tell us and tell South Texas football fans about those injuries that are hampering Edinburgh Vela?
Well, it's unfortunate. Early in the stage, Vela's going to have to go into this contest without Bailey and then Ronnie Garza. Coach says they're ready. They have multiple options to take care of those positions and fill in the spots with. They believe in the next man up mentality. Mm-hmm. They're always growing. They're always ready, and Coach is assuring us that they're gonna be able to handle business on the gridiron against Memorial. There is a chance Ronnie will be back later in the year, but that's some good news. It's a tentative with what we're hearing with Bailey. So he's very careful. He's got some future things to consider.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to take care. They're taking care of him and watching out when he'll be ready to play. Absolutely,
all eyes on Tyler Bailey, TCU commit. Really, just a shame to see a senior get hurt and possibly lose their entire senior year. But like you said, big things ahead for Tyler Bailey, and we wish him all the best and hope to see him, if not back on the football field, healthy and ready to go for the 2020 season, wearing that purple and black of TCU.
Yeah, and you really got to think that that could further compound some problems Vela's faced so far early in the season. Really struggled on third down conversions so far in the early going. Mm-hmm. I think 3 for 18 so far in their first 2 games. Not something you want to see. Got to keep your offense on the field and sustain drives. Mm-hmm. Another big thing for Vela is they haven't really been much of a second half team so far. Only 1 touchdown in week 1 in the second half of their 2 games so far. We know how that went down last week in Brownsville against Hanna. Almost cost them a win. Mm-hmm. And on the other side, it's going to be interesting to see how Spates bounces back because going into this matchup last year, he had 10 straight games of 100 yards. Sabercats held him to 57, but since then he's run for 100 yards 10 more times in a row. So it'll be interesting to see if he can keep that streak going this time around.
Yeah, how does that Edinburgh Vela defense come out and play in this one? Will they be able to – Campbell Spates, tough player to stop, so you just got to hope you can slow him down. Edinburgh Vela did it last year. Can they do it again this year? We will find out Friday night, 7:30 p.m., coming to you from Richard Flores Stadium in Edinburgh. Number 1 versus number 2, Edinburgh Vela versus McAllen Memorial. The football gods have blessed us here in week 3, and we couldn't be more hyped up for this matchup. Andrew, I'm excited for you to be able to check this one out live. And also, checking out another good game Thursday night. You'll be seeing the San Benito Greyhounds, number 3 in the RGV Sports Top 10 poll, against PSJ High, a team who really bounced back in a big way last week.
Yeah, these are two teams who, interestingly enough, both suffered big setbacks against two of the top teams in the Corpus Christi area week 1. Flower Bluff came down here and knocked off PSJA on a Thursday night to start the season, and San Benito slugged it out with Cal Allen, one of the top teams in 5A, not just in South Texas, but all of Texas, coming up a little bit short in that one. They both rebounded in big ways last week, though. San Benito notching a 31-3 win out there in Victoria, and PSJA going to Corpus Christi and coming away with a 52-14 win. The Bears' offense looked much improved last week, guys. Attempted almost 2 times as many passes as in week 1. Quarterback Justin Morales threw for 436 yards and 4 touchdowns to 4 different receivers. You look at a guy like Miguel Flores at wide receiver who had 200 yards through the air. And then you look at senior running back J.R. Vasquez, who had 100 on the ground and 123 through the air on an amazing 18 touches. That's some incredible big playability. It was the most successful game they've had rushing the ball under head coach Lupe Rodriguez's tenure, just in terms of yards per carry. So it seems like the changes they made on that offensive line are sticking, and they look to be gelling as an offense now. But they're going to have their work cut out for them against a really good defense this week. San Benito allowed, I think, fewer than 100 passing yards last week. Really made things difficult for Victoria West. It should be interesting. It's an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object type deal. That'll be the key for this one if the Bears can successfully attack that secondary and if the Greyhounds can slow down that vicious passing attack.
Going to be interesting to see that one. Another big game Thursday night. And I know it's week 3. A lot of teams are in non-district action. Nothing really affects district play, and as far as that race goes. But not in District 16 5A D1. Those guys, they're already on to week 3, which is their second district game already. And one game coming up on Thursday night that will have playoff and district title implications so early on in the season. Mission Veterans pays a visit to Brownsville Veterans at Sam's Memorial Stadium on Thursday at 7 p.m. And this game features 2 of the best offenses there in that District 16 5A D1. Spread attacks that can spread the ball around, get the ball to the playmakers in space, and let them go to work. And last year, Mission Veterans won 45-24. We all know Mission Veterans really high-powered offensive attack this year, and everybody counted them out after that Week 1 loss against Mission High. They go down 37-0, struggle to move the chains a bit, struggle to get offense going, and get shut out for the first time since 2012. Well, Mission Veterans bounces back in a big way in Week 2, a 48-14 win. And that offense put up 451 total yards. Sophomore quarterback Ricky Reina, who the successor to Landry Gilpin, now at the helm of the Mission Veterans offense, finishes with 178 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 2 to wide receiver AJ Gonzaga, who goes 7 for 115, and another touchdown goes to Alan Vasquez. And shout out to running back Danny Cantu, who's actually he's their starting running back. He's also their backup quarterback. And they were up so big, he gets into the game at quarterback, throws his first touchdown pass, finishes 2 for 2 for 44 yards. Really good to see Mission Veterans bounce back, and they will need to keep that rolling as they take on Brownsville Veterans, a really good team who already has wins over Brownsville Rivera at the 6A level, and then just pulverized Brownsville Lopez last week, 49-7.
Yeah,
so
wow.
That Brownsville Veterans team looking good here in the new year. They want to make their claim at that district title, and if they want to get that inside shot at it, they're going to have to take down Mission Veterans. Same thing for Mission Veterans. If they want to get there, they want to win another district title, then they're going to have to take down Brownsville Veterans. And it's here in Week 3. You usually like to see these big games with playoff and district title implications later in the season. But hey, like we said, the football gods blessed us with number 1 versus number 2 this week. They also blessed us with a really good matchup here in District 16 5A D1 between Brownsville veterans and Mission veterans.
Yeah, you got to feel like this game is going to carry consequences far beyond September. It seems like whoever comes out on top of this one has to be in the driver's seat in that 10-team district.
Absolutely, and I'm just interested to see how this one plays out. Brownsville veterans looking for revenge from last year. Mission veterans looking to show people and continue to show people that there is no drop off. They're the same team that they were last year with some new faces in the mix, but it's the same old Patriot way. And they're this game looking to move to 2-0 in District 16 5A D1. A lot riding on this game. I'm excited to see how it plays out. And one of the other games going on this weekend that will be interesting to see on Thursday night, Gruya at Donna North. Two teams looking for their first win of the year. Really excited to see this. Somebody's going to put a W in that win column this week, and the question is, who will it be?
Yeah. These two teams, they met last year. Mm-hmm. It's the Gators versus the Chiefs, and it's going to be a good one. Where Donna North's looking for their first win of the season, and even from coming 0-10 last year. So I talked to Coach, and they know Gruya hasn't come real prepared. Mm-hmm. The style of play is over in Gruya is tough, and they work hard, and it'll be interesting to see. I think Donna North is still kind of getting their machine going, and they're getting on the board. This may be their best shot to win a game this year,
and they have it at home.
They got home field advantage. They've been working hard. Coach Michelar says these guys are, doing everything they can and bringing the best to the gridiron. So it's going to come down to Brian Escobar leading under center, and him having to connect more than once, maybe to Adrian Gomez in the end zone.
Absolutely, going to be interesting to see how Donna North, like you said, maybe their best chance to pick up a win this year. A lot riding on them. Last year, this game, Gruya wins handily, 34-3. Going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. I'm not expecting such a blowout, but I'm expecting this one to be a little more competitive. Gruya, the Gators, they've been competitive in the first two games. They go to overtime against St. Joseph in week 1, fall 39-33. Then they
tough match.
Yeah, and then in week 2, they followed up with another tough matchup against Raymondville. Really good defense, a really good program there. They fall 31-19. Gruya searching for their win, as is Donna North. Going to be really interesting to see who walks away with the win out of this one.
Yeah, you got to feel like whoever puts the feather in their cap after this one is going to get a much-needed confidence boost heading into district play down the road here.
Definitely, and excited to see that one. That's coming to you on Thursday. Excited to see how Donna North looks and how Gruya looks in that one. And with that said, we're going to take a break, and after that, we'll be back breaking down more Week 3 games and previewing everything. Some more big matchups coming across the valley, and we're going to break everything down for you. Here's a word from our sponsor, the J. Gonzalez Law Firm.
J. Gonzalez, a lawyer with thousands of cases won and millions rewarded in settlements. Over 15 years of experience and recipient of numerous awards. If you've been in an accident, there's only one name to remember: J. Gonzalez.
Welcome back to the RGV Sports Show. Shout out to our sponsor, the J. Gonzalez Law Firm. Thank you for sponsoring us, and good luck this week in the Pick'em. So back to Week 3 games. A bunch of good matchups coming up. We broke down the game of the week, some Thursday night matchups. Now let's get to those Friday night lights. Some really good matchups, and we're going to start off Mission High, number 4 in the RGV Sports Top 10 poll, against Sharyland Pioneer, one of the top offenses here in the Rio Grande Valley. I was out there earlier today catching the Diamondbacks at practice, talking to them and talking to Coach Lee and junior quarterback Eddie Lee Marburger, who leads the Valley in passing with 619 yards, only on 37 completions, which is a pretty wowing number for that low completions to have that big of yardage, and 11 touchdowns in 2 games, passing touchdowns, 12 if you count rushing. So Eddie Lee Marburger dishing it out, really looking good, leading that Diamondback offense. But Mission High, they come in after that 37-0 win over Mission Veterans in week 1. They followed that up with a 55-8 win over Donna North in week 2. Mission High only giving up 8 points on the year. How will that defense look against Sharyland Pioneers? Aerial attack. They spread the ball out. They get it. Eddie Lee Marburger gets that ball out of his hands quick. It's hard to get hits on him. And if you can get a little pressure on him, he's shown that he can run 162 rushing yards this year. Last year, he split time with quarterback Jacob Rosales. Rosales was considered the more mobile one, the better runner. But this year, I've been really impressed with Eddie Lee Marburger and what he's been able to do as a dual threat, leading that offense. 11 touchdowns, 5 touchdown passes. Touchdown passes to 5 different receivers, excuse me. And, just really spreading the ball around there, just really giving love. And everybody knows LeVar Lindo, Luke Padilla, and Tristan Castillo, receivers and running backs for Pioneer, who had really good years last year, but bursting onto the scene and having really good starts to the 2019 season. Gavin De La Garza with 7 catches for 178 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Alan Davila with 125 yards, 3 touchdowns on 6 catches. And that offense is rolling on all cylinders, and now they're excited to play host to the Mission Eagles and welcome one of the Valley's top teams. Coach Lee and Coach Coy Detmer, they go back, they're friends, and they're excited for this matchup. And they said it's a big thing for the community. It's there in Mission. Going to see both these teams put it on the line. Sharyland Pioneer obviously loses week 1, 42-41 against Harlingen. Come up with a big win last week over Waters Lincoln with a 57-21 victory. So now I'm excited to see this one. I couldn't be more fired up. Get to see Jeremy Duran in that dangerous ground game of Tito Moronta and Andrew Maldonado for Mission. And I'm just expecting fireworks. It's like you and I were discussing earlier. It's a shame that this has all the makings of a game of the week. It just so happens to be on the same week that numbers 1 and 2, Edinburgh Vela and McCallum Memorial play. So this game, a lot of eyes are going to be on this one. Is Mission High the team to beat there in 36A? We will see. Is Sharyland Pioneer? Is their offense as advertised? And last year, Mission High won 21-17.
Oh, that was a close one.
Really close game last year. This one, I'm expecting another close game. I don't expect either team to run away with it. But what I do know for sure, we will see some good football between the Diamondbacks and the Eagles Friday night at Richard Thompson Stadium.
Certainly seems like we could be in for a lot of points in that one in both directions. But then again, we said that for Mission and Mission Vets, and look how that one turned out.
Definitely, all eyes are going to be on that scoreboard. Do these teams light it up like it's Christmas? We will see. And taking it back to another game here coming at you Friday night, we got the PSG North Raiders, who are in number 6 in the RGV Sports Top 10, taking on the Westaco High Panthers, number 10 in the RGV Sports Top 10. Raul, what are you expecting out of the Panthers coming into this one?
Well, the Panthers, they're going to host the Raiders at Bobby Lackey Stadium. That's a great place to play football. A lot of tradition there. And the Raiders are hoping to keep their winning streak alive. It's definitely going to turn out to be a shootout, and it may end up a game with who has the ball last or who has the better running game. If Seven Sanchez is able to, convert for a long special teams touchdown, or position them well for Isaac Rangel to help lead the Raider attack, that may be one of the key difference makers. But on the other side, Westco has just about the same amount, if not more, weapons to choose on how they want to plan their attack. So I know they're both practicing and they're both preparing really well. Jake Cavazos, who led the attack in the rushing game against Ed Calchelsa last week, hurdled over one of his opponents just to get in the game. So it's exciting. This game's going to be exciting. This one's going to get lit.
Some really good matchups here in week 3. Andrew, you saw PSG North pick up a big win last week. How did they look getting that big win over Harlingen South?
Well, their running game really looked on point in this one, and it was the week before too. But you got to start with sophomore running back Isaac Gonzalez. second straight week with more than 150 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns in each of those games. I mean, he's a force. He scored on the first play from scrimmage last time, and that was supposed to be a pass, and he just took off anyways. Didn't really seem to make much of a difference because they couldn't stop him regardless. And, Isaiah Ronhell might be the best dual-threat quarterback in the area. Really gets it done with his arm and his legs. But I think it starts and stops with the defense with the Raiders. I mean, they play a really physical, aggressive brand of football. If you run up the gut against the Raiders, you're going to get tackled not by 1 or 2 guys, but half their team. They really like to punish people who, try and move the ball on them. They're upset that they didn't get a shutout in Week 1 when they won 44-8 over rival PSJ Memorial. Like Raul said, special teams might end up being the deciding factor in this one. Weslaco lost a Week 1 game because they allowed some big returns in the special teams game against Rowe, and Sanchez seems to be one of the biggest playmakers, not just on that team, but throughout the area. He had a lot of pass deflections, some tackles for loss, and that big punt return that set them up for a touchdown last week where he just hurdled the defender to get out of bounds. So, I mean, this is another one that I feel like could have been the game of the week in any other week, but we had to get overloaded with 5 or 6 of them this weekend.
Such a shame, but a loaded Week 3.
Big football in the Valley.
Absolutely. We're fired up. And let's take it to another matchup. Andrew, one of your teams out of 36A, some non-district action against Harlingen South, the McAllen High Bulldogs, who are now sit at 2-0 on the year.
Yeah, big things so far from Mac High and first-year head coach Patrick Shelby. Still using the 2-quarterback system with senior Robert Amador and sophomore Hunter Curl. A little bit of a thunder and lightning approach there with a big arm and a speedy, dual threat, run with your legs kind of guy. And I had a chance to watch Harlingen South last week too, and they took on PSJ North. Quarterback there, David Torres, is really something special. I think he connected with 7 or 8 different receivers last week, and they run the ball with a committee of running backs back there. So when you take on the Hawks, you really have to watch the whole field because it seems like they have playmakers not just at every position, but waiting to jump into the game at every position too. I think the big one in this will be defensively who can step up because, McAllen, they kind of like to hold the ball, play the possession game, chew clock. Harlingen South's exactly the opposite. They'll push it and, run a no-huddle offense, really run the score up on you in a hurry if you let them. I think this one for Mackay is going to come down to, whether they can keep that offense off the field and force the Hawks to play defense all night. But should be a great one, and it'll be interesting to see if the Bulldogs can enter district play at 3-0. That would be huge for them and be an undefeated month of September for them also.
Absolutely. Good things happening over for the purple and gold at McAllen High. And let's take it to another big non-district matchup, Sherryland High against La Jolla High. These two teams, last year La Jolla got the best of Sherryland High, 31-7. Eddie Villarreal, one of the most dangerous running backs here in the Valley, ran for 181 yards against them last year. That was the second highest total in the Coyotes' 10 games. So it's going to be interesting to see, will Sherryland High be able to stop him? Will they be able to contain him? Just last week they faced maybe the best running back here in the Valley in Campbell Spates, and McAllen Memorial put it on him pretty good, 51-10. A complete performance from the Mustangs. Sherryland High desperate to bounce back going into La Jolla Stadium. The Coyotes sit at 2-0, picked up a big win over Roma last week, 30-6. That comes after beating the rival La Jolla Palmview 13-12 in Week 1. So La Jolla looking to keep their record unblemished. Sherryland High looking to bounce back. Coach Ranadame, I know he'll get his guys charged up and ready to go once again and take that field. But this game, I see it evenly matched on both sides. We do our pick'em every week. This was the game that I was torn on the most. I could not decide. I was going back and forth between both these teams. I've seen them both play for the last 4 years, and bunch of new faces on both sides for both teams. So I'm really interested. I have no idea who will come out on top. But all I know is that we're in for some good football Friday night between Sharyland High and La Jolla High.
Yeah, this one should be really interesting. La Jolla last week didn't get so much from Eddie Villarreal because he only played the first quarter. Still found the end zone on just 7 carries, so you got to like that. But they held him out as a precautionary measure the rest of the way with some hamstring tightness. And you got to like what their rushing attack got done without him. I'm looking at Rudy Olivares, who had 120 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. And then Anselmo Davila added another 103 and a touchdown. It's really, a running back by committee approach over there. And for Sharyland, you've got a feel for them. I mean, you go up against maybe the best running back in the Valley last week, and now you probably have to go up against the second best. I mean, wow, what a turnaround for them. I think the key for the Rattlers in this one is going to be if they can make that La Jolla offense a little one-dimensional. La Jolla only completed 1 pass so far on the year for 5 yards, so it seems like if you can take away the run from them, then Sharyland's got a real good shot of getting it done, but that's also easier said than done, so we'll have to see how it plays out.
Absolutely excited to see that one between the Rattlers and the Coyotes Friday night. That one is coming to you at 7:30 p.m. at La Jolla ISD Stadium. And rounding out the weekend, on Saturday, Westlaco East, the Wildcats, paying a visit to Brownsville Hanna, who, although they're one of the best teams in the Valley, they're 0-2 on the year after facing McAllen Memorial and Edinburgh Vela. Raul, what are you expecting out of this matchup between the Wildcats and the Eagles?
This is going to be a good game at Sam Stadium Saturday morning. Coach Burgett knows a lot about Brownsville. That's where he got to start at Hanna. They're looking as a team to bounce back from their first round loss in the playoffs against Hanna. So I think this game's going to boil down to who can run the farthest, who can run the fastest, and who can get in the end zone the most. Depending on the quarterback, Ramsey Vasquez and Campos on the other side with the Golden Eagles.
Absolutely.
Campos is carrying his team. Ramsey is also kind of the same high power, but the game changer here is if Campos can convert in the air, that could be the difference for the Westco East. Westco East has only passed the ball and completed for 5 yards all season. So they're a running game. They're pushing it up. They're pushing it fast, and they got like a 300 monster over there with Ramsey Vasquez. If he's going to look for the hole, they got an option with Gio Guerra, who's a small, shifty, lanky back that can get through holes and get past people. And then they got a big back in Russell Garza, who was big against Maynard. And both of those guys are on the top leaderboards in rushing, all 3 of them in 31-6A. So Hanna is going to have some work to do on the defensive end, try and stop those guys.
Absolutely. Brownsville Hanna looking to get their first win of the 2019 season, and they'll be, you're going to come out swinging. You're 0-2, and you're playing Westlaco East, which is one of the strongest programs that they're in 31-6A. So it's going to be interesting to see who wins this one. Does Hanna finally get in that win column? Does Westlaco East bounce back from last week's loss? Fired up to see that one. Like you said, Saturday morning in Brownsville, Sam's Memorial Stadium. Going to be a good one between Westlaco East and Brownsville Hanna.
Yeah, we'll definitely be out there.
Definitely. And with that, that concludes our breakdown of everything Week 3, previewing all the big games and our game of the week between number 1, number 2, Edinburgh Vela, McAllen Memorial. Catch us on Thursday at RGVSports.com and on all social medias at RGVSports.com. We will be out at these games, keeping stats, writing stories, taking photos, video, everything you want of football coverage here in the Rio Grande Valley. We got you covered. So thanks for tuning in to the RGV Sports Show, the Week 3 preview. We will be back with you on Saturday to wrap up everything that was Week 3, break down the winners, the losers, and of course, the game of the week, the Battle of the Titans, number 1, number 2, Edinburgh Vela against McAllen Memorial. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you Saturday.